Welcome to today's programming tutorial. In today's tutorial I'm going to show you how we can get set up with our actual game. This is the same code as we had from last lesson, except I've removed the drawing elements. I've also changed the canvas tag so that it's 1000 pixels by 600 pixels. Let's start by creating our script code. Our game is going to be split up into 4 main functions: clear, update, draw, and loop. By function, I mean a little piece of code that we can save and use again and again. Let's see how we can create a function inside our script. To start, we write function and the name of the function. In this case, I'm going to call it clear. Like a variable, you can call a function whatever name you want. To finish, I'm going to put 2 brackets, and I'm going to use curly brackets so that we can tell the code what goes inside this function. If I minimize it, you see the curly brackets allow me to put anything or any code inside this function. Think of a function like a folder that you can call. What are we going to do in here? Well, our clear function is going to be used to clear the canvas every single frame. That means when we're drawing on the canvas, we clear it with white, or the background color of the canvas, and then we redraw everything after updating its positions. Think about this game like one of those old flip books, where as you flip through the pages, the new picture will show, but because you're going through it so quickly, it looks like it's animating. So how do we do this? Well, very simply put, we're going to draw a giant rectangle over this canvas. So we'll begin our path like we did last week. We'll do a fill style. In this case, I want to make it white. We'll do a rectangle. And in this case, we know that our screen is 1000 by 600. So let's make sure it's at 0, 0 in the X and Y coordinates. Remember, that's going to be the top left-hand corner of our canvas. And let's make the width 1000 and the height 600. Lastly, ctx.closePath. Now we don't need to put ctx.fill because fillRect will both draw the rectangle and fill it in with a color. Let's for now change this to red, only so we can see the changes over here. If I save my code and I run my document, you'll see it stays white. This is because while it's saved inside my function, nothing happens, or the code doesn't happen, until I call my function. Now, how do you call a function? Well, it's really simple. Underneath the function, you type the name of the function, followed by 2 brackets. What this will do is it'll tell the code, right, go to the clear function, which is in here, and then run all the code inside my clear function. If I save it and I run it now, you'll see I get nothing as well. Whenever you get an error like this, you're not sure how to fix it, one thing you can do is right click on the element and click inspect. By doing this, we can see we've got one error over here. If I open my console over here, it says here reference error, artboard is not defined. I see where the error is, though it does tell me it's on line 29. So on line 29, I can see I've got artboard over here. Now this is because I changed the name to canvas over here for my canvas variable, but I did not change it over here. So it doesn't know what I'm talking about. To fix this, I'm just going to call this canvas. Let's save it and run the document. And there we go. It's drawn a red rectangle over my canvas. Again, if I don't call the clear function, nothing happens. But the cool thing about this is it's like you're saving a lot of code in one, because I can call the clear function as many times as I want, and every single time I call it, it's going to run the code that is inside my function. So that's the first thing. Every game or every frame, we're going to clear the screen. Secondly, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to update all the positions of everything on our screen. So if our character moves on the X and Y coordinate, we're going to update it over here. At the moment, nothing needs to go in this function. Next, we're going to draw everything or redraw everything on the screen in their new positions. And lastly, we're going to loop. Now, the loop's purpose is to call each of these functions every half a second or every half a millisecond. To do that, we're going to first clear the screen. We're then going to update the screen. We're then going to draw the screen, and then we're going to repeat the loop. Now, by repeating the loop like this, we're going to have a very, very, very fast frame rate. We don't want to speed it up too much, if not it might look a bit, the latency might be a bit off. So to fix this, let's pause the game every time it does these three functions by setting a timeout. This is a JavaScript function that's already been created that lets you pause your game for a bit. Now there's three things we need to put in the brackets for this. First, where do we want to go to once we've finished pausing? In this case, we want to go back to the loop. Notice that I don't put the brackets over here. Then, we need to specify how long we're going to time out for. In this case, let's time out for 1000 divided by 50. That should give us plenty of time. If I refresh my screen, you see we get nothing. Even though we're calling clear, which is in red. This is because there's nowhere in my code where I start the loop, or in other words, there's nowhere in the code where I call my loop. So let's fix that by writing a loop underneath it like that. And there we go. It's going to be repeating this again and again and again and again. Let's see it work. If I go to inspect over here, and I go to console, let's output something in the console. We'll do this in the update. To output something, we say where we want to output to. In this case, we want to output to my console. This is very similar to how we got the element from the document in the previous lesson. We're going to use our connector, which is a dot. And in this case, we're going to write log, because we want to log information into this console. Let's log hello there. If I run my program, see nothing happens, but if I go to inspect again, you'll notice it's repeating very, 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 very quickly and calling my update. This is because I'm calling the update in the loop. Now that we have our basic game set up, let's look at adding a character into the game. I'm going to quickly change this back to white. To get a character in the game, what I've done is I've downloaded the background.jpg and the Super Mario _still.png. You can edit these pictures however you want. Let's grab this picture over here and let's put this into my canvas so I don't have to draw it with maths. To do that, we need to store the pixel or the artwork in a variable. So let's start by writing var. This stores my Super Mario character, so let's call it Super Mario. And let's make that equal a new image. New image is a JavaScript subroutine that allows you to create or import an image. Now there's one more parameter we need here. We need to specify the source or the location of the image. Because the image is stored in the same location as my game HTML file, I'm going to write Super Mario.source, again, using my connector there to call one of the commands and apply it to my picture. In this case, the source. And that's going to equal Super Mario _still.png. Awesome. Nothing will change here yet because we have to first draw the character onto the screen. We've loaded the image, now we need to draw it. To draw it, we use a very simple command. ctx.drawImage. This takes three parameters. The name of your image, in this case, Super Mario. This is because we stored the image in a Super Mario variable. Then the X and Y coordinates. Let's do 0, 0. If I hit save and I refresh my screen, you'll see I get nothing. Again, let's problem solve by right-clicking and clicking Inspect. You can see we've got an error here. So if I go to console, it says Super Mario is not defined. I notice here that Super is missing the R. And here it is. This method of problem solving is really useful, and it's something to get used to. If I hit save and I refresh my screen, there's our character. We can load the background in as well. Let's create a variable for it. Let's define the source. This one's called a JPEG file. And then let's draw the background. And there we go. Now you'll notice my Super Mario character has disappeared. Let's think about this logically. I clear the screen with white. I update the positions. In this case, we're not doing anything. I then draw Super Mario and then draw the background. And then I repeat. I've noticed a logical error in my code. In the draw function, I'm drawing Super Mario first, and then I draw the background image over Super Mario. Let's fix that by drawing the background first, and then Super Mario. Now in a future lesson, we're going to teach you how to move your character left and right, and to jump. For now, I'm going to write a couple of quick lines of code. We'll do this in the next lesson, so don't worry about copying this part. I'm going to do Super Mario x plus equals 5, and then Super Mario x over here. This will cause my character to move steadily at 5 pixels. Now, why am I doing this now instead of next lesson? I really want to show you the whole process of why we clear the screen. If I delete the call for clear, in other words, if I never clear the screen with white, I end up with this. This is because I'm drawing the background image over it. For now, I'm just going to remove the background so we just see Super Mario. And there we go. If I don't clear the screen after every time I draw, I end up with the previous character printed onto my canvas. This is why I relate this to like a flip book. So you always want to make sure you have the clear command to draw white over it. Let's get the background back in. So, at the end of this session, you should be about here. Hopefully with an image drawn. This is because I've got Super Mario X here after I deleted it, so I'm going to put a 0 here. And there we go. Thank you for watching this tutorial. I hope you found it helpful.